why is it simple? Like the emotion behind canceling somebody, what does it do to you as a person? You know what I mean?
All right, welcome back, you guys, to the Kindred Project. This is part 2 to our conversation about friendships, and it was getting real. It was getting real deep, getting real chaotic, and I love it. But we're going to continue on. We left off talking about redemption. We kind of left off talking about if somebody can redeem themselves, or like, do we believe in like, a friend coming back? How does that even happen?
Yeah.
Have you guys had like any experience like that? Like, have you guys, have you ever taken a friend back, and what did that look like? Or what do they have to do to maybe redeem themselves? Or maybe you were the friend that needed to, that redeem themselves. Maybe, we all haven't been perfect friends, but Soph, what do you think about that?
I feel like there's, in all of the friendships that I've had, I have had a part to play in it. I've had a part to play in it. And so it is definitely a two-way streak. So even saying like, would I take you back? It's like, would you take me back too? Like there's two parts in it.
That's so real.
And I don't know, like when it comes to friendships, like I love all of the people that I've been friends with, like to this day.
Yeah.
Like no matter how hard you hurt me, like, or how it ended, or if I like hurt you and I don't know, or I do know, like whatever the case may be, like I still love all my friends. And when you love somebody, like you're so,
You're so nice.
it's like when you get close with a person, like I feel like there is no, at least for me, you were talking about it and it sparked this thing for me. You're like, I have to tell myself like they're the evil person in my story. And a lot of the times I have to do something along those lines to stop wanting them to be a part of my life.
Wow, yeah.
Because when I get close and I get deep with somebody, there are like memories, there are like moments where you're like, I don't want to let these things go.
Yeah.
So like no matter how a friendship leaves you, like there's always a part of them that stays with you. And at least for me, like it's very hard to let go of former friends, not to say like, oh, like I'd be back friends with anybody. Like there's trust that has to be built again, especially if there was trust that was broken. But the loyal person in me is like, know that I would never run you through the dirt. Like know that I would not ever want to hurt you, even though we're not cool. Like, there's that part in me. So I don't know, like saying like, would I take somebody back? Like if we weren't friends and then we fell off, like there's always redemption. You're right. There's always redemption. There's always an opportunity. A friend never leaves you, like you got to know like a friend never leaves you. And I always keep that in my heart. Like a friend will never leave you. Like there will always be love. We will always like, no matter what, like if something happened to you, like I would reach out even if you blocked me, or even if like you don't want to talk to me, like, cause I have a few friends that I'm like, oh, I'm blocked. Like they're not going to hit me up, or they would never hit me up ever again. But I still got mad love for people. So I would take them back, and I would hope they do the same for me.
Even if they blocked you?
Even if they blocked me. Like, I at least try. Because that's just me. Like, that's just me. Like, I would want to at least say, like, I still got love for you. Like, if something were to happen to you, like, know that what I said, I would still be for you at the end of the day. So.
Yeah. No, I would totally agree with that. I think that as much as like I could totally put up a front, like, nah, like whatever, like if they came back, like I wouldn't want to be their friend. But like there's like this reality.
You gotta say that.
That's his inner voice.
That's what my inner voice.
That's what it sounds like.
My inner voice. That's what he sounds like deep down. But Sophie and I were having a conversation the other day, talking about how impressed and kind of just like in awe and kind of like very curious we are about husbands or wives who we've seen take back their spouse after they've been unfaithful in any sort of form, right?
Wow, yeah.
And we're like, man, like that is so interesting, like how they can do that.
Yeah.
But if like you really think about it, like the way that we love, and I think I love love. Like I love that God gave us the ability to love so deeply that like for us to look at somebody's relationship from an outside perspective, not having relationship, we can be like, why are they staying with that person? Like they cheated, like literally biblically, they're allowed to leave that person. But when it comes to like, man, they probably love that person so much though that they're willing to do absolutely anything it takes.
Yeah.
And it's like deep down, I feel like that's inside of all of us, like that type of love. Like there's something in our heart that connects to relationships that kind of way.
Yeah.
You know, so like even friends that I've had that have canceled me, deep down, like as much as I can say on the surface, like I'm over it. You know, like whatever, like I'm fine. Like deep down, if they were to come back and just be like, I'm sorry, immediately, like my heart would just like melt, and I'm like, I can't help but receive you, you know. And I think that like, of course there would need to be like conversations had and you know, confronting things, like that's a big part of it, you know. Like it's not like those relationships where that someone was unfaithful, they're just like, oh, you're good, you know. It's like, okay, we need to go through counseling, we need to go through all this stuff, and you know, it's like in the same way, like any friend that in my life has like canceled me, of course there'd be conversations, but at the end of the day, my heart would melt in just like, you know what, like I want to take you back in because I love you. Like there's something about the relational side of relationships, which is pretty much all of it. There's something about it that is so deep within like the soul of a human that it's hard to break a connection and say, I'm okay with never being this person's friend again.
Wow. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's that. It's so interesting, like listening to both of you guys, because I think I would like in the first part of this conversation, we talked about Enneagram and like even Gabe saying like, I love, like that is so his personality to say that. Two. Yeah. That's such a two. And listening to both of you guys like process through that and process, and because I have also been in your guys' lives like while you are actually processing those real emotions, you know, like what they're referencing right now. Like I've been in their lives like as they've processed losing friends, and it's just so a part of like how God created you to like navigate through like really, really hard seasons, which, you know, a lot of us, and I'm sure a lot of people watching or listening have also walked through really hard seasons of being canceled or losing friends, or been in a season where a friend is wanting to come back into their life and are kind of juggling this decision. What would you guys say is, like, how do you take somebody back? Like, what does that look like? Gabe, you kind of like mentioned, like, there's conversations that need to be had. What would that look like for you guys?
Oof.
I think that like a big part of it would have to be you guys choosing each other again. Like, of course you can't say, let's wipe the slate clean and pretend like nothing happened, because like something did happen.
That won't work. Yeah.
It wouldn't make any sense. But
right,
there has to be like I think a moment of like someone taking the step, you know, first, of course, and say somebody, you broke up with your friend, right? Yeah. And then you decide, okay, we want to be friends again. There has to be kind of this sit down conversation, because like you guys are going to make the same mistake over again, or someone's going to hold bitterness towards you.
That's so real.
And then you guys are going to sit here resenting one another, trying to be friends, because you never had the conversation.
Friendship breakups are so real.
They are the hardest.
They're like almost like harder than romantic relationship breakups.
I haven't had a deep romantic relationship, but I've only had deep friendships, but I can only imagine.
Yeah,
Man,
it sucks.
It's legit.
Like the fact when you said that, I was like, oh, that hit me.
Yeah,
like, it is like a breakup.
Yeah.
It really is.
Your whole body breaks.
100%.
It just feels like you just shut down, because it's like this person that you did not expect to leave. Like, you know, when you're in a relationship, you guys are like testing out the waters, or maybe you even say like, we're supposed to be together for life. But I don't know. It's something about a friendship where it's like, I shared a different part of who I was with my friend. I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is, but it hurts.
100%.
It hurts.
Yeah.
We talked about it last episode, how like it like a lot of times relationships and friendships that we form become like family.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're literally one of the only family members that I've chosen.
chose you.
You know, like Like, I don't choose my family, like my
Yeah.
blood family. I chose you.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's been severed.
Yeah.
My family that
Yeah.
I chose now feels like it's severed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so real. And that, like, that hurt, I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like, that hurt, it goes so deep, and it plays a huge part, like, in why people, I think, like, are probably, like, really cynical to, like, friendships and that whole idea of, like, I don't need anybody, I'm independent, I'm the only person I can depend on is myself.
Yeah.
Like, I think my personality is given a little bit to cynicism, but I am so codependent. Like, I could never imagine, saying that, you know, like,
Yeah.
the only person I can depend on is me. Like, it's funny because, like, my personality would want to say that, like, I love priding myself on being independent, but also I realize, like, I am so, like, who Joe is so intertwined to the community I'm in and the family that I am in. Like, it's almost like there is no Joe without the crew. Like, there's no Joe without my family, you know, like, I'm so interwoven into that, like, tapestry, you know? And I think, like, all of us probably feel that way. Like, we all feel like there is no way that you can rip that apart, you know?
Right.
But it is, I've seen it happen so many times. And I mean, like, I've obviously lost friends too. And I remember there was, like, one time where, we were in the lobby of our last church, and I had been kind of seeing, like, this friendship slowly start to drift, and it was a friendship I wanted so bad to, like, stay intact. It was a very, like, I felt like such a special connection, and just spending so many years with this person, and then slowly just watching their heart, like, just shift away from me, you know? And I remember standing near the family worship room, like, off to the side of the lobby, and just standing there and just watching, not even anything, like, overtly rude happen to me, but just this person and this kind of small little circle of people just completely, like, ignore, disregard me, you know, like, not, you know, like, say hi or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I just remember, like, I could not hold it in. And I'm not even, like, a super, like, cry emotional type of person, but I just burst into tears. And, like, somebody, like, one of our leaders, like, grabbed me, saw the whole thing, and was like, you need to go home. Like, it was, like, I think, like, towards the end of the morning too, but I was just, like, watching that and, like, feeling that, like, severing of, like, that relationship when you have held that person in such, like, a sacred place as, like, you're my family. There is, like, nothing like that type of
It's true.
wound.
It's
you know?
so true.
Yeah, I feel like it's because friends are also, like, I feel like it's different when it comes to relationships and friendships, because if you break up with some dude, you still got your friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you break up with your friends, it's like, who do I have?
Wow,
like, who do I go to? Because what if your friends are connected to the rest of your friends?
Yeah.
And that's hard. That's hard. You said that, and I've gotten broken up with a few times at the church that we were at before.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, she's
Also,
friends
like,
with me now.
Can we just say, like, Christians, like, do better at, like, at that? Like,
Yeah.
we said, I think you said it, like, last time too, like, about being ghosted. Like, just do better.
I know we can't ghost.
Yeah.
You know, I've had secular friends, like friends before Christ and friends in Christ, that have ghosted me, and I'm like,
Yeah, for
so
sure.
it doesn't change.
Yeah.
It's no different. But
I'm sorry. Go
no,
back.
I was just saying, like, my friend that I'm friends with now, she's my bestie, Amanda.
Yeah.
She broke up
Shout
with me
out.
at the church. She did, and she'll
What?
tell you.
I didn't know that.
She'll tell you, and we laugh about it to this day now, because that was, like, one of the last times we said we weren't going to be friends, and it was this whole, like, and this is kind of like Christians do better, but, and she talks about it too, and she's like, I don't, you know, we had a full-blown conversation about it, and she had told me it was something different than what it was. I think she might correct me, because it was such a long time ago, but she broke up with me at KidCon.
No.
She did at KidCon.
Not the kids.
She pulled me aside and she was like, she had said something,
Wait,
and
okay,
I literally cannot remember. Like, honestly, I can't remember right now. and she'll have to tell me. But I
There's
just
so
think it's
much
funny.
joy happening in the lobby. There's all these costumes.
And we laugh at it to this day because I think it was
over.
something she had told me something too, like she was starting like the internship
Yeah.
and she wanted to like, and I feel like maybe I was wilding or something.
Probably.
She's gonna tell me. She really is. I probably was wilding. And I was still going to KidCon. Probably with like my shirt tied to the side. No, I'm just kidding. She's like, you need to be better. No, but I forgot what it was. But I just remember her breaking up with me at the church. And you had said like you in the lobby, and it reminded me of that. Amanda, I don't mean to call you out, but
stuff going down in the lobby.
These things happen
Oh
in the
my
lobby.
gosh.
You get broken up with.
It sucks. There was
a horrible feeling.
There was one time we're just like sharing personal stories, but there was this one time, there's this lesson in this, where, I shared this like in class like a couple Mondays ago too, but, there was one time, this was a long time ago, and these people will never watch this, so whatever, I can talk about this freely. But it was a long time ago when I was in college, and I went to Bible college. Again, Christians do better. But I was like completely like infatuated with this guy, and it was one of those stories. And like my roommate at the time, like was totally like, was aware. I mean, she was like my best friend. She was like my sister, she was like totally like, she's like that girl that had gassing you up, whatever. I was like 19, 20 or something, like, and thinking I'm going to like marry this person. And I'm just like, I was like, so like invested in this friendship with this guy, and I ended up, I don't know. I was at home like during a break. I don't really remember when, but I was home. I remember I was in California. She calls me and tells me like, that her and that guy, okay, like had this whole physical relationship, or I don't know, hooked up or what. All I really remember is that I absolutely hated her. Okay. Like in that moment, no. I'm crying, all the dramatics. Again, I'm like, I don't know, like literally 20 years old. And I'm just thinking like my whole life is over. My mom pulls me, I was outside and she pulls me upstairs and we're talking about, I'm like crying. And she's like, okay, this is what we're going to do is you're going to like calm down. First of all, you're going to calm down. And I think there's a lesson in this because I feel like a lot of the times when I feel like I'm wronged, I always go back to this moment that my mom had with me where she's like, first of all, you need to calm down, like speaking to like my emotions. Okay. Yeah. And like not invalidating them, like not invalidating, like you're emotional. Why are you so emotional? It's like, that's valid. Process those, but like once you calm down, then we're gonna like figure this out. So you need to calm down, center yourself, and so you're gonna calm down. And then we're going to pray for these people. We're going to pray for this friend. And I remember thinking like, there's no way that I'm going to do that. There's no way. Like this just happened, Monica. Yeah. Like this just happened. Like I just got off the phone with her, and she's like, I know. Like, I know that it's going to suck, but like, this is what we're going to do. And like, just watch. I remember saying like, just watch how quickly God can heal this if you use your words to bless these people.
Wow.
Okay. These people that just hurt you for whatever reason. It had nothing to do with me, but whatever, they did what they did. And I'm telling her, I'm like, I don't want to do this. And she's like, even if like you don't mean it, like, but you just start saying it, like, like the power of spoken word is so powerful. Like, just watch, So I did it, and I swear I always go back to that moment. Like when I really, really want to cancel somebody, and when I really like when a friend has hurt me, and I'm just like, wow, like I'm constantly challenged by that memory of like, like, yes, redemption is possible. Like even what you guys are saying, like even deep down, like you guys would totally bring people back in, like that memory challenges me in that area of like,
that's good.
Like God does tell me, like the Bible does instruct us, like when we've been hurt, or like when there's been a wrong, or when there has been like a random conversation where a friend is dropping you and you're confused. I've definitely been there too. I'm like, what the heck does this even mean? Why? But the Bible is very like specific when it comes to like, okay, this is how these are the next steps. Like once you've been hurt, congratulations. Now you have an opportunity to forgive somebody and be the, image of Christ. And I'm like, I don't want to be the image of Christ. I want to be petty and I want to keep them in the villain box and I want to stay mad. And, but I love that memory and I'm very, very thankful that my mom, let herself be used by the Holy Spirit to like instill that like core value, like in me. And whether, I like really abide by that is between me and my God. But
listen to Monica or not.
Yes. I know. Thank you, Monica, for all the advice.
Last week we talked about during one of our small groups, we were talking about the power of words. And the week before that, when you told that story, was about forgiveness.
Yes.
So there's this theme going on right now in this season for like relational healing and like for actual like freedom in the area of like unforgiveness for a lot of people. And I think that what's interesting is that we learned, and I remember when Sophie and I were about to confront a real like hurting or like a real hurt and a real wound in our past with our previous church, we had a counseling session with Pastor Dan and Pastor Diane. And right before we were like getting ready to actually like face this, like Pastor Diane looks at us and she's like, hey, remember, pray for those who despitefully use you and bless those who persecute you. That's what the Bible says. I'm like, oh man, like, oh. And I remembered that moment this last week when we were talking about the power of words, because God wanted to heal a lot of us from the words that people have spoken over our lives. And so in the context of that, it still applied. Bless those who persecute you and pray for those who despitefully use you. And I think after that conversation, Sophie and I were talking, and it's like, man, like how difficult is it, but how real of a principle is it for us to pray for those who persecute us and bless those who persecute us and pray for those who despitefully use us? Because every time, if we think of the entire context of relationships, it's in one way, shape, or form that we're going to be hurt by someone who is hurting or who has hurt in themselves. And so we can look at people who have hurt us relationally pretty much almost 100% of the time. I can't think of a scenario where it's not true, where we can look at someone who's hurt us and be like, man, that happened because I know they're hurting in this area. When we can see them in that way, that's the place where we can pray for them and we can bless them. If I just look at somebody for what they did to me, then I'm not gonna be able to pray for that person and actually mean it, right? I'm gonna hold offense. But it's like, man, if we can get a little bit better of an understanding of how God sees that person, like, man, like if you knew what you were doing, you wouldn't have done that. Like if you were healed, you would not have done that. And it's like, man, from that place, I can pray for you. From that place, I can bless you. It sucks and it hurts because I'm still hurt by the byproduct of your hurt. I'm still hurt by the aftermath of your hurt, but you're hurt nonetheless. And so I can pray for that.
Wow, that is so deep. How have you guys processed like being hurt by friends? What has that healing journey been like for you guys?
It's a continuous journey. I think that it's constantly learning, because if like getting little things like that, like, hearing little pockets of, oh, you need to bless them. And, even being in my word, it's really important that I am constantly trying to see them the way that God sees them. Because if I'm seeing them for the person that they were when they hurt me and not seeing like their past, then I could just say like, they're constantly going to be the villain in my story. Because I'm still hurt because I don't, I can't do this, or I won't be able to do that. And that same night I was talking to Gabe about it too. I have to be able to like process someone's whole life for me to have a deeper understanding of what happened to me. You know what I mean? Like it's so weird. Like I had to sit down and literally like the last kind of thing that happened in my world, like I had to sit down and like listen to everything that they had told me and remember everything that they had told me and like say it and like say, okay, this is the reason why this is the way they thought it was to react. Like, this is how they learned how to react. This is how they learned how to love. This is how they learned how to do this, how to do that. Even with parents, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a good way for me to respond and forgive my parents when they do something that's like human. I have to remember, I'm like, this is how they learned how to do this. This is a life that they grew up in. And so, yeah, it's easier to bless somebody. It's easier to love somebody through something when you know that's the only way they know how to do it.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, so, and you had said this too, like, I forgot who said it. You're probably Brene Brown.
Yeah.
Said if somebody were to come to, or if I were to tell you that this is the best that they had, would that like kind of be enough, right?
Yeah.
But you probably, what is it that she said?
She says, she says, what if God came down and told you that the person that you like, this person that has hurt you or that you can't stand, is doing the best that they can with what they have?
Yeah.
Like, how would that change like your perspective? So,
and that would be enough. You know what I mean?
That's
like
good.
that would have to be enough.
Yeah.
Because like even with working with kids, like I knew like this is all that they know.
Yeah.
You have to like think of people as a child, and it's easier to forgive somebody as a child.
Yeah.
When you said like, well, this is all that you knew. This is all you knew how to do. This is the way that you learned how to love. Like, it might not be correct and it might have hurt me, or you might have been hurt, and this is your way of responding to other people so that you don't get hurt again.
Wow.
That sucks.
Yeah.
For me and everybody else around, but I can still bless it. I can still love you through that.
100%.
That's so, it's so important. Like, it really is to take a step back and it's like mom saying, calm down, you know, once you're calm, then you can have like an actual better assessment of what's going down. If I can just, in moments where I'm hurt or moments of betrayal or moments of whatever, if I can just calm down and take a step back and get a better perspective of what is actually happening and understand that my role in this, my role as like the receiver of the hurt or whatever, is this kind of aftermath. And if I can take a kind of a closer look and kind of zoom in on this person and their past, their life, the season of life that they're in, where they're at with their personal relationships, like if I can kind of take that look, then that's going to give me some perspective and hopefully aid me to be more Christ-like when it comes to praying, blessing, forgiving, like showing compassion, like all of those different things that the Bible instructs us to do when it comes to like an enemy or a friend that has hurt us or what. It's true. I think that's so good.
And it's honestly like, that's like, forgiveness is like the harder route for sure. You know, like it is. And a lot of times, I would say that the Holy Spirit challenges us to do the harder thing because he ultimately wants us to grow. You know, like it's easy to hold a grudge. Like it's easy to sink into that pit, right? Like it takes no effort to sink in quicksand.
Wow.
Like it takes zero effort to drown. Like it takes effort to stay afloat.
Yeah.
It takes effort to fight your way out of the pit, you know? And it's like, man, I think a lot of times God calls us to do certain things that he knows are actually like more difficult because he's actually trying to refine us and make us better. It takes a whole lot more effort and a whole lot more reliance on God, and it takes a whole lot more dying to yourself and actually like accepting the heart of God more, and just, you know, like sacrificing like your own like fleshly desire to say, I'm going to forgive you. That's why cancel culture is so like prevalent in our world right now, is because it's easy. Like it's so easy for me to just be like, oh, you hurt me, like you're done. Yeah. It's so easy, but it makes us no better as human beings. Not even just like Christians, like picture for a moment, it makes you like, it doesn't make you any better of a human. Right. Like you are not better at relating to any other human by canceling people.
And there's like no growth from that. Like,
zero growth.
If you're canceled, that's boom. That is who you are for the rest of your life. There's no way to get out of that.
Right.
So there's no progress forward.
There's no progress.
Yeah.
And you're allowing yourself to sink into the pit. And we glorify the pit. We totally glorify it. It's like, oh man, like this quicksand, like this is the place to be. Like, hey, that person did this. Come join me in this quicksand pit real quick. And it's like, man,
oh my gosh,
we're missing something for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. why do you think people use cancel culture? Why do you think people, it's easier for them to cancel, or they do cancel? Like, people do cancel, and then why do you feel like you guys have personally been canceled?
Joe.
Jocelandra.
That is a question. Well, first half, why do I think people cancel? I think I'm going to just piggyback off of what Gabe said. I think it's easy. I think it's so easy, and it's straightforward, and it's simple. If I can just slap a label, it's funny because Gen Z is so big on this. I'm not trying to come for Gen Z, but like Gen Z, who's like so anti-label and I don't want labels, like they love labels. They like are so quick to like put a label of like canceled on anybody that does anything remotely, you know, counter their culture, or, you know, in a lot of ways, like I'm not saying that people don't deserve to be canceled. Like, some people are awful, you know, but you know, there's just such a quickness, and it just seems like everywhere, no matter what community you are a part of, it is everywhere. Like, there's even that video like going around on TikTok where like the girl saying like, is there a community on TikTok that like does not have drama? Because like I can't find one, you know, like, and there's people that are stitching this video of like, I'm a part of crocheting TikTok, and there is drama, and people are getting canceled in crochet TikTok. Wow. And it's like, what could you be canceling somebody about crocheting? You know, like that's like a legit video that I just watch.
That's crazy.
So it's like wherever you go, and I think it's just because it's simple and it's easy, and we say that we don't like labels, but we actually really like labels because it makes sense to us. And if I can keep you in that box, that makes sense to me. You're bad. There's an X on that box, and now I'm moving on to people that are better than you, and whatever. When actually, like, there's no perfect person.
Yeah.
And but why? You asked me why I've been canceled?
But also like, why is it simple? Like, the emotion behind canceling somebody, what does it do to you as a person? You know what I mean?
Maybe there's like a self-righteous thing into it of just like, like, I'm so elevated in my thinking and in my politics and in my like all of the things I know about the world.
I know
and,
more than you.
Yeah. And just like, so I'm so much better, and like, I'm so much better than you. Nothing like that would ever come out of my mouth. You deserve to be canceled.
Wow.
And my voice deserves to be heard that I'm pointing at you. You know? And so it's a lot of, I feel like, just like pointing the finger and being kind of like a little bit of that's like, sounds like I'm really coming for Gen Z, but like I'm really not. Like,
like, it's kind of like a pride and insecurity kind of thing is what
I think so.
You know,
there are situations like where like, somebody said some like really disgusting things, you know, back in like 2015 that obviously needs to get addressed. There's one part of like cancel culture of like people, the masses saying, we want to keep everyone accountable. Right. That's the thing.
Okay.
We need to keep people accountable, and we need to hold people accountable to what they've said and what they've done. We need to keep people accountable. I'm all for accountability. Like, that's when I was like, I love that part. Yeah, let's keep them accountable.
Does it deserve somebody being canceled?
But cancel culture, then that kind of even what Gabe was saying is like, cancel culture is a hard stop to any type of progress, growth forward for a human.
It's like a modern version of like burning at the stake.
Yeah,
you know, it's like this like cancel them.
Yeah,
cancel.
100%.
It kind of creates this very like, you know, unified anti against a person or what they did or what they said kind of thing, you know?
100%.
It's horrible.
That's one side of the culture.
There's so many things you could do wrong in your life. There's so many dumb things I probably said on Twitter that would disqualify me to be speaking now or be a pastor later on in life.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. I get that.
Even when I was first like starting off preaching, a lot in our old church where we were having like hundreds and hundreds of kids. Oh my gosh. If I really think about some of the stuff that I was preaching and some of the stuff that I was saying from the pulpit, I truly like fall on my face and ask the Lord for forgiveness. Like, I cringe hardcore that I felt like I had the audacity. I felt like I had the authority to speak on things. I was so young. That's the hard thing. You know, when you're young and you have some sort of platform, you have some sort of elevation, and you have people listening to you. It's whether it's on social media, whether it's in a church, whether it's you're managing a team, whatever. When you have any type of like authority, ooh, it is so easy for you to step out of line. You know?
Yeah.
And I have to. Oh my gosh, I could totally relate to that.
That's real. There's like that, like you said, kind of the masses bulk side of cancel culture, but then with relational cancel culture, where it's very much more like individuals who don't want to put in the effort to either forgive or to process. I think that's a big reason why people cancel like one-on-one relationships. Like people they were once close to, they're now canceled for the sake of, I don't have to process that. I don't have to work through that. I can just shut it down, Control Alt Delete, and it's powered off. You know what I'm saying? And it makes it easier for me to not have to process that by just canceling it, pretending it never happened, and moving forward.
Wow.
What about Joe? How about when you got canceled, or a time when you got canceled? Don't want to say a specific one. How about you, Joe? What happened to you?
How many people blocked you on Instagram?
How many people do you have blocked on Instagram?
I want to know. We looked into this. We looked into like how many people we've all blocked, but I really wanted to.
I've blocked 10 people.
Okay, you like hardly even know those people except for one person.
Like bots
yeah. I really want to know. Maybe somebody can tell us. So wants to say the name of who he has blocked, but I really want to know. I know everyone.
I said it the last one. I don't want to say it again.
I really want to know who has me blocked.
I know.
Can someone tell us how you can figure that out?
There's got to be like an app. Or
there has to
a
be
website.
There is. You can see like the people that unfollowed you.
I've seen that app. There's an app where you can see unfollows.
But I don't even look at that app.
I want to see that.
I did it when I had my
curious.
business page, but
that was popular for a while. There was this time when I was unfollowing people, and then like they hit me up and like, why'd you unfollow me?
Oh, I've definitely done that before. I've definitely been like,
really
are we
awkward.
good? I'm totally a person. Like if I thought we were friends and I see you unfollow me, I'm like, there was a couple times back in the day where things were getting weird, and I'm just like, I'm gonna call you out. Like you're not just gonna like. Is this like, I don't know, your way of like not associating with me, like distancing myself? Like, no, I deserve a conversation, And then they change up their tune, Anyways, but when I got canceled, wow, that was very intense and very sudden. That's the thing too. It's like it happens. And it's like in the blink of an eye, like the hurt, the betrayal, whatever it is that people have gone through. It's like it feels like so many times, like it feels like it has happened like in an instant.
Right.
And then boom, this bomb goes off, and you're trying to get your bearings, and what did I just hear? What just happened? Like. What was that conversation? Like you have like a hard conversation with a friend or something, and then you walk away and you're like, what the heck was that? But like in the conversation, you're like, this is normal. And then you walk away, you're like, that was not okay. Like that was not okay how they were talking to me.
Well, then a big question that I would want to ask the both of you is, what would be like the takeaway that you would want whoever's listening to this, like what do we want people to do differently or like do better? Like what's the ultimate objective? Like if this is kind of the issue that we're seeing, how can every individual kind of like make the right decisions, make the right changes, and pursue doing the right thing relationally? Relationally.
I think it's so important to talk things through and not to come to a conversation with a like, this is what it's gonna be, and I've done it before too. I've came to a conversation with a friend, and I'm like, so we're gonna need to take a break and and in my mind I have it set what I'm going to say. That does not give room for anything, so with your situation, I felt like it was super important for there to be dialogue, a back and forth, instead of somebody just coming in and saying like, you're done. Like what you thought you were doing, you're not going to do anymore. Like there should have been conversations that happened beforehand. There should have been like correction that happened beforehand if that was the case. And even in friendships that I've had, it's like what it looks like to not cancel is to give space for the other person to speak. Like there's so many things that I hear to this day about me that I'm like, if somebody were to just ask me, I will tell you.
Yeah.
I will tell you what happened. But you're coming to me saying this happened and someone said something about like this about you. And I'm like, ask me anything.
Yeah.
Ask me anything.
Yeah.
Like if you want to know, you can ask.
Yeah.
But don't sit here and start saying all these things and telling other people, oh, well, this is what you should, because then that's when gossip comes in. This is what you should assume about this person. Like we should be able to talk. And as Christians, we should not be sitting here talking about other people. We should not be sitting here canceling other people.
Yeah.
Like the way that you act and respond in the dark, I hope you would pretend that Jesus was in the room with you, and would he be happy with the way that you're talking?
Yeah.
There's many times, and I'm not no better. There's many times I have said things and things have came out of my mouth that was not Christ-like, but I can bring those to the table to this day. I can call myself out to the mat. There's a lot of things that I've done wrong.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things I can call myself out to the mat. Like if somebody were to sit and talk to me and say
Yeah.
like, oh, did this happen? Yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
It was horrible. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But I'll say it. Give people an opportunity to speak and to speak out, because I think a lot of the time cancel culture and gossip, what it does is suppresses the other person from speaking. It says, well, this is what you
That's super
did.
true.
Don't talk to them.
That's
Don't.
very true.
Did you hear about what she, oh, you shouldn't talk to her. I heard don't talk to her.
That's
We're
very
not
true.
going to talk to you anymore. No one is going to talk to you, and you can't talk to anybody else about this. That is not okay.
Yeah.
That is not okay. We need to be better as Christians and like talking back and forth. We need to have a dialogue, even about things that people don't really know about the Bible. There's a lot of people that say like, oh, Christians think this, they think that, like Christians hate homosexuals. I love everybody.
Yeah.
I do. I love everybody. Like if we were to have the dialogue, ask me a question and I'll give you an answer. So I think that's something that we all need to do better across the board. But when it comes to cancel culture and it comes to even like gossip and Christian culture, the culture of Christianity and the church, we need to be better at talking out and speaking out about things.
Isn't it? It's so weird when you hear lies about yourself.
Yeah.
It's so
my
weird
God.
when it gets back to you.
It's like,
It's totally happened to me. I'm like, what in the
told
world?
you?
And then especially if somebody's bold enough to tell you the name of the person that they heard it from, and you're looking at this person and you're like, you literally, I think we were talking about this just recently, like you pulled something out of your butt and you ran with it.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like you
didn't say like, oh.
Yeah, like there have been things I've heard about myself, like that's not even like an over exaggeration. That is just a lie. Like it's just a fallacy.
Right,
It is
right,
just
right.
a fairy tale. Like that is
Yeah.
not real.
Exactly.
And it's really hard when those lies get brought to ears that you have depended on to protect you and to be loyal to you and to bless you and to love you. And they don't. Like that lie is brought to them and they believe it and then they run with it or whatever. That's definitely happened in my story. And it's just the most wild thing. It's almost like very like when it comes to like psychologically, like I would love, those people that have lied about me or like lied on me, like I would love to put them under a psychological evaluation. I'm not even trying to be funny. Like I really would, because
Honestly,
because
I feel that.
there is something wrong with you. Like there must be something off. What traumatic event happened in your life? I'm not being petty. I'm not. But like what traumatic event in your life has triggered you to think lying about somebody is going to get me what I want? We were talking about this beforehand, like
Right.
somebody who wants to buy loyalty. you know, with you know, they're trading people's secrets for loyalty. You know, I give you a secret about this person that you don't like or whatever, you know.
And then I get in.
Yeah, and then I get in, you know, like that is so prevalent in church culture. Like, let's be honest, like it's you know, and well, in our past church culture.
Yeah.
And it's just wild. I really want to put you under a psych evaluation though. Like if you have, I'm talking to somebody. I am talking to one person, but I would really love to put you under a machine and look at your brain, because it's not okay and people need to do better. And 100%, like what you're saying about the whole gossip thing, it's 100%. Like, I mean, there's a reason why the Bible talks about it so stinking much, and why it literally says it will bring friendships and bring relationships and it will bring so much division. It will bring things to ruin.
Yeah.
And so the gossip and just like this idea of like, I'm not going to give you any space to speak or to bring light or to bring explanation. Yeah. But I think like a lot of what you guys are saying too is like giving people, like if we just slow down and calm down and give people opportunity to speak and give people to explain, give people to elaborate, so many things could be like figured out with just conversation, you know, like, and even too, like with my situation, like it was so much more dramatic because I was not allowed to speak. I was not allowed to hold conversations with my team or with the team that I managed. Like I was literally not allowed in, you know, to have those conversations. So gossip and these small little whispering conversations, I mean, like they just like, it's like a petri dish for it, you know, like when you don't allow truth, there's so much that could go into that. But
yeah, there's so much I thought was going on in your world that like literally didn't after I found out.
Yeah.
But as far as like even gossip, I have a little story. I've seen how gossip can tear like friendships and family apart. There was one time where I had no idea that somebody was gossiping about a former friend of mine. And they thought it was me. They thought I was the one spreading the gossip and said something about them.
You got caught up.
I didn't. That's the thing.
You got caught up in the drama.
I was like, you got caught up because you said, I was like, I did not say anything. I didn't say a word. It came back to me. And I was like, how do you know about that? Yeah. And I was like, excuse me? Like, and I had
went back. Did you say the real name?
Did I say the real name?
The person that was actually saying it.
I found out. I didn't know.
Oh, you found out that. Okay.
So there was a friend of mine, and there was this thing that went around, and I was one of the only people that knew about it. I told my leader because I needed to confide in my leader. Yeah. And then I told Gabe, and that's the only people that knew. And I was like, tore up about this thing, you know, like I was making sure that my friend was cool at the time, was cool. And I kind of just let it be. Somehow, some way, based off of who she told, it like went around and it spread. And it came back to me like, oh, somebody had talked to, I think, Gabe. And I looked at him and I said, did you say anything? Like, I was pissed. I was like, did you say anything to anyone? He's like, no, I didn't say anything to anyone. Like, I promise. And I was like, wow. So I went to my leader. I was like, did you say anything? And they're like, no, I didn't say anything. Like, I swear. And somehow, some way I found out that someone that she confided in had told everybody. And I still got in trouble for it. I don't know if I'm still in trouble for it or whatever the case may be, but I remember getting cut off completely, not talked to because of that. And it's like the gossip wasn't even mine, but yet it still created a cancel culture because it spread.
Wow.
What gossip can do, what trusting the wrong person can do, can end up breaking off other friendships and not allowing opportunities for more conversation. And so like to say like, gossip became a big thing. Like my cancel came from gossip that wasn't even mine, but your gossip came after the cancel like the cancel that happened to
Yeah.
you, then this gossip spread, which is usually how it happens.
Yeah.
But either way, I feel like gossip and cancel culture,
Oh, yeah.
they work together.
Yeah.
They do.
They work together
They go hand in hand.
really well. Really well.
For sure. I think one thing that I would say to kind of the entirety of this conversation is that there's this phrase that Gene, my mentor, gave me and the rest of like us boys, and I think it's in our entire group, right? That sticks with me for everything that I do, right? And I don't get it perfect all the time, but it's this phrase that he always mentioned. He was like, hey, like whenever you're making a decision, make sure that you fulfill all righteousness. Like fulfill all righteousness. I want to get that tattooed low key, because I'm like, that's something that's really like shaped the way that I think. So it's like in any decision making process, like if it's finances, if it's relational, if it's anything, just make sure you're fulfilling all righteousness. And I think the thing I would say to whoever's listening to this, who is in the middle of trying to make a decision on whether they want to cancel someone or someone's canceled them or whatever the situation might be, when it comes to the relational tension that you might be experiencing right now, and you have a decision to make, what you're going to do with that person. Are you going to have a conversation with them? Are you going to try to not have a conversation with them? What's going to fulfill all righteousness? What's going to actually like do the God decision, Holy Spirit thing? And the only way that you can fulfill all righteousness is if you're actually listening to the Holy Spirit and you're not trying to be your own Holy Spirit.
Wow.
Because a lot of times we can, what I've seen leak into the church is a cancel culture that calls that righteousness because we're not listening to Holy Spirit.
Wow.
We're listening to ourselves because we've taken Holy Spirit's place.
Wow.
And so what has to happen is kind of this, dethroning of our own ego, or this dethroning of our own consciousness and our own like understanding of morality, and bringing it back to the Bible as our baseline, and allowing Holy Spirit back in his rightful place, allowing God back on his rightful throne, and saying, okay, you have the right to tell me what righteousness is. Is this righteousness? I don't think so. I need to do the hard thing, like I talked about earlier. I have to do the hard thing, which a lot of times that's what righteousness is. It's actually doing probably the harder thing, probably the more difficult thing, but the more godly thing.
Man. And a lot of the times when you come to God with something, you end up leaving with more grace for the person.
Wow.
Like,
So true.
like anytime I'm like, I'm upset about this, like instantly, like I leave and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Like forgiveness just fills my heart, and like grace fills my heart. I'm like, I have more grace for them. Like I have more understanding for them, because God knows them.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm coming to talk to God, he's not going to be like, who? But I know who they are. I know who they are.
Yeah.
And he's going to show me who I am too. Because a lot of the times he's not going to be like, God's not going to gossip with me. He's not going to be like, yeah, she's horrible. Like he's not. Like, don't come to the Lord expecting him to gossip with you. Like he's going to give you a heart for the people, and he's going to show you how it is, like how to love them better, And a lot of the times I'll come to him with his word, like, this is what you said, and look at them. They're not fulfilling it. And he's like, you haven't either.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
So
so
good.
good.
I always say that too, is like, you got to own what you got to own.
Yeah.
Like, you have to own, like, even in my situation, like I had to come to a point where like I needed to own what I needed to own, like like it's all, we go through hurt and we go through different things with relationships and friendships, but there has to come to a point, like whether you're in therapy or not, where you come to a self-awareness moment and you're like, okay, there is things that I need to own. You know, this, you said it earlier, like a lot of the times, like this is a two-way street. I need to, if there's reconciliation that's ever going to come, there's two apologies that need to be made, 100%. And how would you guys say, how do you like come back from being canceled? How do you come back?
What do you mean by that? What do you mean?
Like, how do you like leave that identity behind? Like, how do you, like, have you guys ever felt like, okay, that's all I'm going to be? Yeah. Like, you felt so beat up by cancel culture that's like, this is all I'm going to be. How do you move past that?
Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, I think I'm in this really weird season too, where it's really hard for me to develop friendships with people that I'm not slightly familiar with. Like, with even you, Joe, like we're with each other all the time and you feel like a safe person because Gabe knows you, you know? So I'm like, okay, Joe's safe. But there are like new friendships that I'm developing that I'm having such a hard time with. Like, and they're great people, but it's hard for me to get deep. And I try, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to them and I feel myself trying to get deep, but like I can't, you know? And I think there's a big part of the healing process. Like there's constant forgiveness that I have to like have for past hurt, past people. And I think I'm still learning. Like, I feel like God's continuing to give me a heart for people, and I see my wrongs every day. Like I'm wanting to continue to see everything that I've done wrong. Like, God, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have put myself in this place, or, you know, whatever. I shouldn't have said what I said. And so there's a lot of things in life that I'm still processing. I'm a long processor. Yeah. So something will happen and I'll sit and Gabe's like, are you going to say anything? And I'm like, I'm still processing. So I'm processing a lot. And I would say like coming back from from being canceled or hurt, like just hurt. What it is, it's hurt. Like from being hurt by somebody, I think like it is going to be a continuous journey. And the Lord already told me a few days ago, like I have to kind of speed up the process and continue to come to him with it, because a lot of the time I'm like, here you go. Like, you know, I'm like, here it is, God. Like, it's here. I have it. I'm going to put it in my pocket. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm constantly showing it to him, but I'm keeping it to myself. Wow. So like a lot of the times coming back from that is just constantly showing it to God. That's and good. Showing him more. That's really you know, more of your heart, more of like, I'm hurting. Like this hurt me.
Yeah. I would say for me, it's, this does tie into my personality for sure, but what happens to me is that it kind of rattles my identity a bit, and it transforms in my own mind from you got canceled to like you are canceled, and like from that point on you're living this canceled life, you know. So for me, what has been in progression and what constantly needs to be at the forefront of my journey of life is making sure that my identity is found in the right place. And like, that's a big thing, you know, for me, the canceling that hurts the most is from the voices that I've given the most significance to, right? Like if some random person is like, hey, like I cancel you. It's like, I don't even know you. Like, I don't care, you know, but it's the voices that matter the most. That's why like close friendships really hurt, or like a lot of voices that all at once really hurt, because it's more weighty that way. But biblically, like every time somebody, whether it was something they did, something someone else said that warped someone's understanding of their own identity, Jesus always addressed that. And he really pointed to the fact that his words should always hold the most weight. Right? Like if you look at the woman who committed adultery, like he's like, where are those who are condemning you? I don't condemn you. And she's like, well, like I was condemning, like in her mind, I'm sure she's like there was tons of people who were condemning me. I felt condemned myself. And out of nowhere, one voice says, there's no one around you to condemn you. I don't condemn you. That's so good. Go and sin no more. His voice immediately in that woman's life became the most significant identifier of her own identity. And so it's like, for me, I know that I need to make sure that God's voice, the voice of Jesus, who he identifies me as, has to be consistently my pursuit to make sure that he's the most influential and most valued and most weighty in my own life. So that way I'm not living this life of like, I am canceled. It's like, no, I'm not that. Maybe it happened to me, but I have a voice that gives a different voice with a greater weight that gives me my true identity.
Wow. I take that, what you said. I'm just going to forget what I said, what he said. That's good. It is. It's so good. And just like quickly, like when you were speaking, like visually, I have to let go of who I was, like the identity that I had in my friendships. Cause like Joe, you were saying, I don't know if it was last week or now, but what you were saying was like you find your identity in your friends and you kind of just become what you are in your friendships.
For sure.
And when I think of like who I was and why I feel so different now is because I'm not that same friend. And it's so hard because I was a different type of personality with these people. Like with all my friends, I'm very different. And so when I no longer have access to that friend that maybe might spark this kind of joy, it really feels like there's a part of me that's missing. There's a part of me that's gone. And yes, like finding your identity in Christ, that's always going to be there. Like God's never going to leave you. But when you're finding your identity in your friends, when one of them is like, hey, I'm out, like you can't be that with somebody else. You can try, but it's going to feel very different because that's a very different personality. So that's a really good point. Like, and that makes a lot of sense to why I'm having a hard time now, because I really do feel like God's saying like, you don't need to find your identity in your friendships. Like you can have fun in your friends, but like, as far as who you are, you need to start rooting yourself in what I've called you to be. And so,
totally. There has to be like a total like redefining of who you are, you know, like when you find yourself solely finding your identity in a relationship. You know, like I look at pictures of myself from like last year, and I was in a relationship that was like lasted for 4 years, you know, and I look at pictures of myself and I swear to you, I don't even recognize myself.
It's a different
person. I literally show it to people, and I would like literally like I'm showing like Erica. I'm like, does that not look? I mean, like it's me, you know, like with my ex-boyfriend, but I'm like, that does not even look like how I like physically. I feel like my face looks different. Yeah, like it's to the point where I'm just like, I do not recognize that person.
Wow.
And whatever. I mean, like that is just like where I'm at with it. But like, I think it plays such a huge part, you know, that I found way, way, way too much identity in being, and there's a tension, right, that you have to hold, because like there is pride, like of being my partner's partner, or, you know, like, but
sure.
When you find all your identity in somebody else, and then you lose that person, or that gets severed, or there's abandonment, there's hurt, you're right. Like there has to be these moments where I'm like, wow, I have to completely redefine who I am, and I'm not that same person. Yeah. The reason why I don't recognize myself is because I'm not that person. Yeah. You're like, I'm right in saying that is a completely different Joe. Yeah. And I get to have this opportunity to like embrace that and be excited about growth, and be excited about owning what I need to own, and growing from that, and progressing, and being a better friend, and being a better listener, being a better follower, being a better leader, whatever it is. Like there's so much that can come, so much growth that can come when I own it and I embrace that new identity. Yep. And I embrace like, okay, I got it wrong before and I found my identity in the wrong places. Now I have this opportunity to find my identity in the right place.
So true.
Wow.
Like there's like so much excitement, you know, about that.
Yeah. And what a lie from the enemy to say like, that was the best.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I've heard you say this before, and it's like ringing in my head because I think that. And I've seen moments where like before Christ, like I was like, whoa, those were the best years of my life. And then I had this amazing season of my life where like, even to this day, I feel like it was an amazing season of my life where I was coming to Christ. I was making friends. I was becoming a leader, and it was so much fun, and it was so beautiful. And now I'm in a completely different season, and I'm like, those were the best years of my life. Like I'm never going to get that back. That spark, that joy, that even like enthusiasm, like who I was then with people at that time, like the type of leader that I was, I'm not right now. And so that means those were the best years of my life, and I'm never going to get those back. And what a lie
such a lie
for the enemy to say that. Like for the devil to be like, you're never going to be any better. Like from this moment on, it's just downhill. Yeah. And it's like, it's felt very flat, but doesn't mean that we're going down. Like, you know what I mean? It just means that we're flat right now. But that's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Something that you said too really like totally painted this picture, because it's like, I am very much this person that just has this feeling that like everything that happens in the natural, obvious, like to me, I feel like it very much ties to the supernatural, to the soul, like the deeper parts of the human experience. And so for me, I what I recognized is like you were talking about like how you really didn't recognize the you in this past relationship, right? Because like the Bible talks a lot about covenant, right? And I think like humanity was really designed, like the reason that the severing of relationship is so devastating, whether it's, you know, an intimate relationship with like a significant other, like a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend, or even like a friend, like a best friend. The reason that relational severing is so difficult is because we were never designed for that. We were never designed for canceling. We were always designed for covenant.
Wow.
Like we were really designed for covenant. And like most of the time in the Bible, like covenant ended like if you severed a covenant, like you were dead, or like you know, like you faced a really serious consequence. And it's like it feels like a part of me dies when a relationship that should have been a covenant relationship like dies, you know. And like God really does restore. He redeems and he heals, and he brings about new life always. But the reality is that like there's something that happens in our soul, because the reality is we live in a broken world. We live in a fallen world where relationship is going to experience severing.
Yeah.
And thank God for healing, but it helps me personally to better understand like, wow, we were never designed, like our hearts were never designed to experience the severing of relationship.
Wow.
Like our hearts were designed for covenant. Our hearts were designed for deep connection, to never be broken.
Wow.
You know, so every time that we like these kinds of things happen, it's like, I get you. Like we can all relate to that because we all understand in one way, shape, or form the human experience. You are not different than me. Like the hurt that you've experienced is not that different from mine, because we're all humans, and we all have this very specific design. We're built in God's image. You know?
Wow.
That is so good. Next Sunday, we're going to be talking about covenant and canceling. Preach it.
What are your final thoughts, Soph, on covenant, on cancel, on being a better friend, being a better leader? Like what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts would say that we are all human and we are all learning to have grace for people and to stay connected to Christ. Christian or not, Christ follower or not, like it is essential. It is so essential. No matter what's going on in your life, how crazy the situation is, like being close and in close relationship to Christ is so important, because there are people that are going to be affected by the hurt that we're feeling, you know, whether you're a mom, whether you're a leader, whether you're a friend, you know, like there are people out there that need you, whether you don't have any family at all. Like God has created all of us to have a relationship with somebody, that somebody eventually is going to need us. And so I think it is really important, as talking about relationships is really important, because it is so important for us here on earth to have a relationship with others, to have a relationship with Christ, to have a relationship with people around us. And so I think those are the really important things. And to say sorry, you know, like I think it's really important to continue to say sorry, even if somebody doesn't ask for it, because somebody may be wanting it, but they're not going to ask for it. So if you have an opportunity to say sorry and to say that you love somebody, our days are numbered. You know, we are promised tomorrow, and thank God for all of us that get to wake up the next day. But, you know, love the people around you. It's so, so important, because you may never see them again. They may move across the country. They may pass and go be with Jesus. So do your best to love people and love God.
It's good. I would say for those who have a knack for severing relationships, I would say stop it. For those who have experienced being canceled or experienced having your relationship severed by somebody else, I would say be fully prepared for 100% restoration.
Come on.
Like, not necessarily with that other person, but for your own heart.
Yeah.
Be absolutely ready for complete restoration of your heart, because even though you felt like a part of you was lost, God restores completely. God is literally the God of resurrection. So if you felt like a part of you died, he's the God of resurrection.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
like the thing is, I would say for those who have really been hurt, who feel like they can't get over it, just be ready. Like it might take months, it might take years, it might take a decade, it might take someone else coming in and being a friend to you that you've never suspected, or whatever it might be. Just be ready for God to work in whatever way he wants for complete 100% restoration of your soul, of your heart.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that.
Wow. That is so good. That is so good. I think my final thought is, well, both you guys said it was so good. Speaking from my experience, like, I would say that, like, let yourself be patient with yourself, I would say. Like, be patient, like, whether you're feeling, you've been canceled, or you are having a hard time and you're debating on severing a friendship. Be patient with yourself. Let yourself process what you need to process, and make sure that you are a safe person for people to be open and honest with.
Yeah.
And maybe you're in a season where the solution is to just have an open and transparent and vulnerable conversation with someone that has hurt you or that you have hurt. Be brave enough to, like, be vulnerable with people.
Yeah.
Like Sophie said, just love people well. Like, it takes bravery sometimes. It takes courage to vulnerably like love somebody and
So
just say,
true.
hey, I messed up. I got it wrong. I broke your trust, or whatever the situation is. Be brave enough to love people well, and give them space to process their emotions. And, but I'd also say, like, just, stay in community. Like, so many people, like, are just doing it on their own. And so many people are just doing life on their own, just kind of like just hanging out. And we were created, like Gabe said, we were created for covenant. We were created for community. And if you're not in community, then you're not actually, like, experiencing, like, the fullness that, like, God has created you to experience.
Yeah.
And so get in community, and stay in community.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much. Thank you, Gabe and Soph. This was, like, so
good,
amazing.
man. This is probably the deepest.
The deepest one, I know. This is, like, one of my favorite conversations we've had. And so thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, make sure that you guys are subscribed to We Are the Church. You guys don't want to miss. You don't want to miss Kindred Project. You don't want to miss our Sunday teaching. Gabe is bringing it every single Sunday. And again, share this video. Like, if this has blessed you, if we said something or it's triggered a thought in you and you want to have dialogue about it, share it with somebody and comment down below. What was something that you're taking away? What's something that posed a question, or what? So even something that, like, you need clarity on. Maybe we said something wrong. Ask us questions. We're waiting for you guys to interact with us. So don't be shy. But we'll see you guys next week.